Greetings, Cephalo-pods. Welcome to Inkopolis, and welcome to my ranked mode prep talk. It's time to prepare for ranked modes. And to do that properly, we need to make some mental adjustments to the ways in which we think about and approach our gameplay. This kind of mental training is the sort of philosophical stuff that we could talk about all day. We're not going to do that. I'm going to give you just 5 principles of play to which we should all align our minds. By our minds, I mean the way we think through our gameplay decisions. Those 5 preparatory principles of ranked play are: number 1, prioritize our survival. Number 2, understand the rules of the mode. Number 3, secure the objective before we push the objective. Number 4, play with our teammates and to our teammates. And number 5, prevent spawn staggering. Principle number 1, prioritize our own survival. This is the first point on the list because it might be the single most important change in our thinking that we need to make, if we are not already playing this way. Prioritizing our own survival does not only mean staying fresh and not popping. It also means adopting a mindset in which you avoid danger and take effective action when your situation goes bad. While we play, we need to be thinking, I will splat my opponents, and whether I splat them or not, I will survive my encounters. As our skill improves and as our understanding becomes more nuanced, we will learn some exceptions to this rule. Today, however, this guide is for people who are just beginning or struggling in the lower ranks. If this is you, then you should start by following this principle. If this is not you, then welcome in any case, and I hope you enjoyed the video. By prioritizing our survival, we will spend less time popping and drifting back to spawn and more time on the field. More time playing on the field almost always equates to better results. There are at least 3 ways you can spend your hard-earned bonus time on the field. For one, we can be the beacon. This can always be helpful for our teams if we can find a safe spot to wait for a few seconds so our teams can jump over to our position. There is potential for this to be more effective if we hide in our opponent's vulnerable spots, allowing us to come back with a nice counterplay from an unexpected direction. For 2, we can hold our advantage. By hold our advantage, I mean maintaining the advantage we have earned in furthering the objective. And I also mean pushing the objective while we have the advantage. Be careful not to equate this to holding your position. Holding your position means to remain at and possibly defend a specific spot or small area at which you are standing. In Splatoon 2, holding your position is generally not advisable to do for very long. Doing so is an invitation to opposing players to hunt us down, and they will eventually do it. And for 3, the awareness we develop will help us spot and counter opponents' counter tactics. In all our efforts to prevent popping and stay on the field, we will naturally learn to pay a lot more attention to the game screen and the map. We will be better able to spot and counter an ambush, flank, or pincher, and we'll be able to better spot these things heading for our teammates. We will preserve ourselves and our teammates, keeping us all on the field longer and improving our chances of winning. Every time we pop, we reduce the number of teammates on the field. Fewer teammates is always a reduction in strength, and this frequently results in a loss of advantage. Losing the advantage often results in the opposing team turning over the objective in their favor. This means that even if our team has some decent skill, if we all pop frequently, control of the objective will flip-flop a lot more often. This will result in more penalty scores that we have to make up. More importantly, all the flip-flopping means that whether or not our team wins a match becomes based more on pure luck than it ought to be. If we think about it, this makes perfect sense, as players that frequently pop play for less time of the match and thus have less time to apply any actual skill that they may possess. Principle number 2, understand the rules of the mode. This point really cannot be stressed enough. If we want to improve or learn to play well, we need to know the rules. We need to understand the objective of the mode. We need to understand precisely how scoring works. Most importantly, we need to understand how overtime works. Overtime is somewhat complicated and works very differently for all ranked modes. As we climb the ranks, more and more matches will be decided in overtime. we need to understand overtime rules if we want to take advantage of overtime to come back and win a match. Conversely, we need to understand overtime rules so that we know how to prevent the opposing team from making an overtime comeback to defeat us. We can read the game mode rules in this way. While in the lobby, there is an indicator on the right side of the screen that says to press the minus button for the rules. It's on the same line as the word mode. When you press minus, the first page you get is a page explaining how ranked mode works. From this screen, by pressing L and R, we can swap to a rules page for the current ranked mode. This also works for the current League Battle mode if you have League Battle unlocked. This allows you to read the rules for 2 different ranked modes at any given time. As a side note, though not the focus of these videos, there is also a prompt for the Salmon Run rules in the form of the Grizzco Employee Handbook. They can be viewed at Grizzco or while at the Shoal. Principle number 3. Secure the objective before you push the objective. Have you ever picked up the Rainmaker just to get inked in the back soon thereafter? I have. It used to be a real problem. That's because my team and I did not secure the Rainmaker before we tried to move it forward toward the goal. We're going to talk more about the Rainmaker mode specifically in a separate video, but for now, we're using the Rainmaker only as an example because some of the things that happen when our team picks it up. One thing that happens, of course, is that one player now has the Rainmaker, and while they are in possession of it, their weapons and tactical abilities are effectively changed. Everyone else has now had their gameplay focus change from capture the flag into the ultimate escort mission. When that focus changes, we become a lot more vulnerable to opponents' counter tactics such as flanks, pincers, and ambushes. The most important thing we can do to reduce this risk is to properly secure the objective. What do we mean by securing the objective? By securing the objective, we mean ensuring that there is no obvious threat from our opponents. Ideally, this means splatting them, but forcing a full retreat will do. However, should we only force a retreat and not splat all of our opponents, then we need to really try to keep track of the opponents that are still out there, as they will be trying to splat the Rainmaker and or ink us in the back at their first opportunity, and their first opportunity will be soon. To sum up, secure the objective before we push the objective, because securing the objective first will greatly increase the likelihood that our push will actually improve our score and thus our advantage. And once we do secure it, we must waste no time in pushing it. If we do, then we waste the advantage we work so hard for. Principle number 4. Play with your teammates and to your teammates, no matter the role you've chosen for yourself. Splatoon 2 is a team game. Splatoon 1 was, and still is, a team game, and Splatoon 3 will also be a team game. You have a small team of only 4 cephalopods. That's not a lot of cephalo power. You need to be skilled, tactical, and smart, but you also need to be very observant of what's going on in the map, especially on your own team. With such small teams, we are placed in a difficult situation. The team is so small that individual members need to be able to operate on their own to a fair extent. However, because of that small size, the advantage can shift when just one team member pops, and will almost certainly shift should 2 pop at the same time. The only way to think about this is to constantly keep track of our teammates, back up our teammates, and adjust our gameplay choices to complement the actions of our teammates. This goes for all 4 of us. And this means that making these observations and decisions is a very organic, vibrant, and ever-changing process. Maybe one of us is the primary cephalopod moving the tower control, but then we pop. When we return to the action, we need to observe what everyone is doing at that moment and fill in or complement our teammates' actions and positions as they are at the time we arrive on the scene. Because of our small team size, we can't just go all on our own or only consider our own splat count. As mentioned, losing even one teammate can be a great challenge, and losing 2 can be catastrophic. But it's a team game, not a single player game. This means we have cephalopods to cover us and watch our backs, and we must do the same for them. Even the best players can pop under the onslaught of a well-executed tactic, so we try to watch their backs and protect and hope they do the same for us. There are no meaningful player statistics that report or describe good team play. There are only individual stats. This can make it very easy to forget the other members of our team from time to time, but the team wins the match, not the individual. And this becomes increasingly true the further up you go in the rankings. Working with our team well is sometimes called team cohesion or team cohesiveness. Team cohesiveness is a good segue into the final point of this guide, which is principle number 5. Pay attention to teammates' respawn to avoid spawn staggering. Staggering something is a term used to describe the process of offsetting the timing of an event with multiple instances so that every instance occurs at a slightly different time or from slightly different positions. For example, in track and field races, runners in different lanes start in slightly different positions on the track to accommodate for the fact that the outer lanes of the track are slightly longer than the inner lanes. Staggering is often used as a positive thing in the real world, but when it comes to us and our teammates respawning in Splatoon, staggering is very, very bad. I have personally had many matches start out strong, only to have everything fall apart in the second half. I later learned about staggering, and then I understood that this is often the problem in matches that go this way. Spawn staggering is this. When the rhythm or timing of team members popping and respawning changes such that only one team member respawns and returns to the action at a time. The typical result is only one team member running into 2 or more opponents with no backup. And this can result in a large amount of time in which the opponent has total dominance of the game, map, and mode. It's like we're drip feeding our team one little cephalopod at a time, and that is just super bad. To prevent this recipe for guaranteed disaster, there is only one true way, and that one true way needs to be practiced. The one true way is to observe and to wait. We must observe the state of our teammates, not constantly, but frequently. There are 3 ways to do that. We try to visually check the gameplay, just look at what's going on in the game, check the map, and check the status icons at the top of the screen. This last method of checking the status icons is the most important for preventing spawn stagger. We can't really do anything to manage spawn staggering until we go back to the spawn point ourselves. Once we respawn, the quickest way to check whether or not teammates are coming to meet us is those icons. When we can see that a teammate is inbound to soon meet us in spawn, we know that we need to wait. We need to wait for that teammate so that we can return to the field together. When we do not wait and go back one at a time, we stagger, and if we do not correct that stagger, we frequently lose. Wait in this case does not mean standing still and do nothing. We should be inking turf nearby to improve team mobility and charge up our special while we're waiting. To quickly recap, to prevent spawn staggering, we need to check on our teammates when we pop and head back to spawn. If we see that teammates are also heading back to spawn while we are there or near it, we wait so that we can return to the field together. When we don't wait, we stagger. When we stagger, we almost certainly lose. These 5 principles are essential if we want our rank to improve and stay there. There's more to playing well than just these 5 principles, but that's getting into more detail than I intend for this series and this video. Future videos will be beginner's guides for each ranked mode. In those guides, there will be more specific information for each mode, but they will also be focused on beginners and those struggling in lower ranks. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.